Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to a new chapter in IGCSE Business Studies. Today I'll explain chapter 13. It's about price. As you know, we have four parts of marketing mix. The product, that what explained in chapter 12, price in chapter 13, and place and the promotion will be in chapters 14 and 15. So today we'll explain the main pricing methods that businesses might use, and we'll talk about the role of pricing and how usually we set the prices, and I'll explain the difference between price elastic and the price and elastic demand. So this chapter mainly is about pricing methods, so you have to be aware that pricing methods will be different depending on the stage of the product life cycle, and of course it depends on the market and many other things. Okay, so let's start. As you know, we have to prepare a marketing mix to take a marketing decision. So today we'll talk about prices, as I said. So when I say price, I am talking mainly about the amount that the customer pays for the goods. So it's really important for me as a business to set a suitable price for my products, because sometimes if my price is low, the customers will think that I have a poor quality, and if I set a high price, some customers won't buy because it's really expensive. So it's not about setting a price, it's about setting a suitable price. Okay, role of the price is simple. So deciding the price is important because I have many rivals, and you know that I should choose a suitable price which is suitable to other rivals in the market. If their price is high or if their price is low. So remember that also quality plays a role. So if the product is of high quality, its price should be high. If I sell a product which is similar to my competitors and there is competition, I have to decide also on a price which is similar to my competitors. So now we can talk about the strategies. Remember, pricing strategies, as I said, are different, and they will be used in different stages of product life cycle and in different situations. So let's start with the first one, which is the most common. It's called cost plus pricing strategy. It's just setting a profit markup above the cost of the product. So if I know the cost of the product, I know the cost of manufacturing, I just add a profit markup. So it's just setting or adding a fixed amount to the cost of making or buying a product. So we have an example here of a battery. If I have a battery and its cost is $8, simply I can put a profit, let's say 150%, 50%, it's up to me, and then I just add this profit margin to the cost. Okay, so as you can see, it's easy to apply this method, but remember, I can't set the margin that I want, because if the price is high, simply I'll lose sales. Penetration pricing, it's used to enter new markets usually. When I have penetration pricing, I simply use it to access new markets for the first time, for example, with the new products. So usually the price will be lower than my competitors, and of course I'll use it to attract customers and build loyalty. So when I use this method of pricing, I'll ensure sales are made, because simply my prices are lower than competitors, but still no profit will be there because my prices are low. Price skimming strategy or price skimming method, it's when you set a high price for your product. Why do you do this? Because your product is unique. So I won't use this if my product is not unique or has a lot of competitors. So it will help me to establish a good product quality, but the disadvantage, of course, some customers might not buy because the price is high. Usually this method is used by famous companies like Apple, for example, like Samsung, like Google. They use these because they produce unique products. Competitive pricing, it's clear that it's a price that should be similar to your competitors. So of course, you do this because you have a lot of competitors in the market. When the market is highly competitive, we will use prices similar to our competitors. So here we can say that we are getting sales as our competitors. We are not overpricing or underpricing, but when we want to set this price, we have to find out what competitors offer, and this will cost some time and money. Promotional pricing, it's a strategy used by businesses to sell for a low price, let's say for a period of time, short period of time. So here we can talk about different situations. Sometimes you go to supermarket and you see some products are sold at a very low price. The target is to attract you as a customer to buy other products. Sometimes they do buy one get one free methods, and this method also will is used by businesses for a short period of time just to build loyalty. Sometimes you see discounts on products. Also, this is called promotional pricing. Remember, this won't be forever. It will be only for a short period of time, usually when the product is in the maturity stage where the sales are stable and saturation stage, of course. So advantages, as I said, I can help people make interest in the business, and of course I can get rid of many stocks like many businesses do. And the disadvantage, of course, my sales revenue will be lower. The psychological pricing is just a way of pricing where I draw the attention of customers, or I get their attention. I play on the perceptions of my customers. Sometimes I sell a product with a very high price because some people, they care about getting a high price product because they feel like they have a status. Sometimes I use this method, and you all see this, like using 299 instead of 300 or 99 instead of 100. This is just telling customers that the product is cheap. I'm giving them a cheaper impression. Okay, these are just simple examples about psychological pricing. Dynamic pricing is used also by businesses. The word dynamics means using different prices for same products. How is that done? Simply, when you travel, you see that you pay for first class a different price than economy class. Why? Because the business is going to have different groups of people, different target markets. That's why we use dynamic pricing. So dynamic pricing will be when the business charge different consumer groups different prices for same products. Now, which pricing strategy would you use here, for example? So if I have a watch that has very similar competitors or very similar watches sold in shops, it's not unique, of course, probably I'll use competitive pricing. Or maybe I'll use penetration pricing if I'm entering new markets. What about this one? This is a radio which is unique and developed, and it costs a lot in manufacturing. So of course I'll use skimming pricing. Why? Because it's unique. Because it's unique. What about this chocolate bar? It has been on the market for several years, and the new brands are being brought out which are competing with it. So probably I'll use competitive pricing in this stage. This one, a new brand. Of course, I have a lot of competitors for this new brand. It's a washing powder, so I can use the competitive pricing. This is, of course, psychological pricing that we all see all the time. Okay, this is just a table here you can revise. I suggest you go back to your book. You will find all these in details. Now, the last point in this chapter is about price elasticity of demand. First, a lot of you, they don't know what is meant by demand. When I say demand, if you study economics, of course, you know this. Demand, it's when you want something and you are willing and able to pay for something or buy a good. So it's the want and willingness and ableness of consumers to buy a product or service. This is their demand. So this is like a demand curve. Of course, it's you don't need to know this in business studies, but of course you have to know this in economics. So the logic says if the price of a product increase, the quantity demanded will reduce. This is what the logic usually says, right? So of course, usually when the price of a product increase, customers or less customers will be able to buy. Okay, so what's the elasticity of demand then? So I have two examples here. I'll explain the concept using two examples. If you look at cinema tickets and if you look at drinking water or fuel, let's say. So think about it. If the cinema tickets price increase by 10%, probably you will not go to the cinema because it's not a necessity, right? You can just watch movies using Netflix, for example. So you notice that the demand will fall in a greater amount. So let's say the price increased by 10%, the demand will probably decrease by 20% or 25%. Why? Because as I said, it's not a necessity. So if price decrease by 10%, you will go to the cinema more often then, right? So notice in cinema ticket, I say this product has a price elastic demand. Okay, why price elastic demand? I call the price, I call it price elastic demand, or it has a high elasticity, because if there is a change in the price, the change in demand will be greater, will be higher. However, in drinking water, it's totally the opposite. So if you notice fuel or water, if the price of the product increase, the demand will maybe reduce, but not more than the change in the price. So notice the fuel price might increase by 10%, but our demand maybe will reduce by 5%, but not more than this. So notice now the difference between the two. When I say price elastic, when they ask you what is meant by price elasticity of demand, you just say it's how the demand is changing with respect to the price. The meaning of price elastic demand, it's when the percentage of change in the demand is higher than the change in the price. And the price inelastic demand, it's when the percentage change in the demand is less than the percentage change in the price. So we can notice this. So as I said, it measures how much demand of the product changes when there is a change in the price. And as you know, this is what I explained, like the percentage of change in demand with respect to the change in the price in the cinema tickets situation and the water situation. So also you don't need to know this, but this is what we call elastic demand. When we have a lot of substitutes, the change in the quantity demanded will be greater than the change in the price. However, in the inelastic demand, it's totally the opposite. Not many substitutes, so the change in the quantity demanded is not as great as the change in the price. So it depends on the substitutes, if it's a necessity or not. Of course, the elasticity of demand will be different. So simply here we can know how the change in the price will affect the revenue. Remember, the revenue is the amount that the business earns from the sale of its products. So simply, if I'm selling cinema tickets, I'm selling pens, pencils, whatever products that have a lot of substitutes, if I increase the price and my product is elastic, I have a price elastic demand, my revenue will reduce because less people will buy. And the opposite is true. But if I sell a product which is like fuel, for example, and I increase the price, so the price now increased, but the demand is inelastic, so my revenue will increase. So it depends on the product you are selling. But something you have to know, like businesses nowadays are really clever to make the products we buy, instead of making them elastic, they just make them inelastic. What do I mean? Like when you buy a mobile phone on Apple, for example, you notice that we don't need Apple to live, but we Apple are clever, so they converted our want to a need, right? So now, even if the price of Apple increase, our demand to this product will not decrease. That's why we say a successful business is the business that is able to make its product different, that takes over the competition, and of course, that convinces the customers to buy the product even if the price increase. So that's why some businesses are really clever to convert the want to a need, of course. Okay, so that's it for chapter 13. I suggest you go back to your book. If you want the soft copy of the book, please just comment and put your email. I'll send you a soft copy of the book. I have the fourth edition as a soft copy so you can use it. Okay, so thank you for listening and see you in chapter 14.